Let's get into it. All right. What's up, Shubham? What's up, Saeed? Immortality, what up, bro? I'll respond to your DM, bro. I saw it. Last time I came this early, my girl left me. Fuck, that is an L, my friend. Sorry to hear that, Maury. Kimberly, what's up? Dixie Normus, what's up, dude? Ryu, what's up, what's up? Dabum, what's up, Eamon? How you doing, bro? Red Hot Chili Paper, like that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, yo, what's up, Daniel? Greetings from Transylvania. Greetings, Dracula. Since it's daytime, can you switch to the white background? You're really fucking... Is it really this hard to see? Is it this hard to see? Fine. Just for you, Eamon. Just for you. I'll burn my fucking eyes. I'm like a vampire. Shit kills me. Okay. There, you happy? It's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you some cash money. Julie, what's up? Finally catching Main live. Yeah, man. Glad you're able to tune in live. Felix, what's up? Yeah, I got the music down now. Hello, hello. Are we shorting everything into oblivion? I don't know about that, Chief. What's up, GSQ? Crypto Grandpa, what's up, homie? Ryan, what's up? Craig, what's up? BTC George, ready for the sauce? Yeah, hit the like button. All right, so welcome back, guys, to another Ethereum and Chill live stream with your boy Trader Main. Really excited to talk about PA this week. Obviously, we've had a lot of weekend bullishness. So the question is, is this legit? Is this just, kind of another lower high we're pricing in? Or are we about to blast through 20K this week and beyond, and everyone's going to get rich and get girlfriends? That's the $1 million question that I will do my best to give some context around in terms of how I plan on playing it. As usual, appreciate you guys tuning in. Big shout out to Prime XBT for sponsoring me to do these streams. I really appreciate them for helping me out so I can continue to do these for you every week. Show them some love. Sign up with the link in the description. If you deposit using the code MAIN50, you get a 50% bonus. So you deposit 1 Bitcoin, you get an extra 0.5 to trade with, which is dope. You can trade gold, silver, commodities, all sorts of stuff, all with crypto. No KYC required. It's similar to kind of how BitMEX was before BitMEX got ganked. So no KYC required. Great exchange. I use it personally. Please show them some love by checking them out. Obviously, nothing that I talk about in today's video constitutes financial advice. There's a lot of risk in trading, so be smart, do your own research. Don't take advice from a metal bird who now has a face on the internet about what you should do with your money. With all that nonsense out of the way, let's get into it. So we've got the white background back today, specifically for Eamon. So let's get right into it. So what we're going to be covering today is a few things. We're going to start with Ethereum, then we're going to touch on the dollar. Then we're going to touch on Bitcoin. Then we're going to touch on the dollar, and then we're going to check out a couple of altcoins I've got my eye on. So I will preface this with saying I am not some sort of altcoin guru. I've been tipped off on these coins from Trader XO, who many of you know and follow, I'm sure, on Twitter. He's a homie of mine, and he's very deep in the altcoin world, not just from a chart perspective, but from like a fundamental perspective as well. So he's looking up these projects, he's doing the research, he's actually DYOR, which I do not do. So he's been telling me these things look good, so I'm going to take a look at them from a charting perspective, right? So leaving the fundamental aspect out of it, obviously the fundamentals between all these coins, he's told me, is very strong. They look like legit roadmaps for this coming year. And so for me, that's just narrative for, there to be an opportunity that these coins might, get a serious pump. And, let's try and make some fucking money because at the end of the day, TA is what I do. And if it's got a chart, I can do TA on it. So we're going to be checking out DOT. We're going to be checking out AVE. And we're going to be checking out SwingB. So these are the three that he's talked to me about. And I'm going to be going in depth on the charts on each of those. And then obviously, as usual, any questions you guys have, hit me up in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. And we will be dropping some nuggets of sauce as we normally do, because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of these streams is to help you become a better trader. Not just to give signals and be like, buy this, sell this. It's to kind of show you how I mark up the charts from a top-down perspective using price action, and then actually taking, this TA and turning that into an actionable signal that you can then go do on your own charts and, learn a fish as opposed to just be given the fish, as the old saying goes. So, since it's Ethereum and chill, let's start with Ethereum. So we'll go over Ethereum USD, and then we'll go over Ethereum BTC. So, if you zoom out, right? If you zoom out, not a ton has happened, right? And what I mean is just like in this month of December, we're going to 800, we're going to 400, we're going to 800, we're going to 400, we're going to 800, we're going to 400, right? You've seen this fluctuation on crypto Twitter, and I'm sure in your own mind as well, about what, we're breaking out to the moon or we're going to dump to all hell. And that kind of, thinking and that kind of, emotion is very standard, very common for the type of price action that we're seeing. And what we're seeing on kind of a large scale here is just consolidation, right? So we're in a triangle, whatever the fuck you want to call it. This is a triangle of sorts. Not the prettiest one, but it's a consolidation. And what it really means, right, is we're trending here, right? Price trending. Price is trending, right? It's trending. This is still part of a trend, right? But are we going to put a higher low down here, or are we just going to continue up from here, right? That's kind of the question. But what you're seeing within this larger kind of macro trend is you're seeing consolidation, right? So this can be either accumulation, right? Or it can be distributive. It can be distribution. So that's kind of the $1 million question. Is this going to fucking have the ass fall out and then put a higher low in? Because I think everyone agrees we're in a macro uptrend, right? If you look at this chart, there's absolutely nothing bearish about this chart, okay? The question just is, are we going to do this or are we going to do this and then maybe this, right? That's the only question. Both scenarios are bullish. Be very clear about that. But what you're seeing here is price contracting to a point, right? And it kind of makes sense, right? The end of the triangle, right, is a point. So what you see is the price swings are getting smaller and smaller, and it's getting tighter and tighter, and eventually this thing is going to break out either up or down. So whenever I see these kind of combinations of things, I see the sentiment on CT getting very flip-floppy, right? One day it's bearish, 3 days ago we were calling for 14K, then we're calling for 25K, right? That kind of thing. People are flip-flopping. We're seeing a lot of people get chopped up trying to guess which way this thing's going to break out. We're seeing the range, the daily range of each price swing getting smaller and smaller and smaller, or the weekly range, right? I mean, this is a huge price swing. This is a much smaller swing, a smaller swing, and then ultimately a smaller swing, right? So price is contracting, it's compressing, it's gearing up for a big move. So when you see these kind of things happening, you need to be prepared and basically say, okay, we're about to see a breakout, right? Once we get to the end of this triangle, it's very likely it could, continue. But for the most part, very good chance, probably before the end of this month or early into next year, we're going to see a major breakout of this triangle. And the question is up or down, right? So knowing how I trade, how I've talked to you guys about how I trade, it's always about if this, then that statements. So the plan that we need to make is, okay, if we're going to break out to the upside, how do we get involved? If we're going to break down, how do we get involved, right? So then there's no guessing game. I don't need to guess if this is going to break up or down. I'm going to let it break up or down. And I'm going to be okay where if it breaks down, right? Let's say it's going to go to 420. Let's say it does this and then this, right? I'm okay missing this part of the move to get in here, right? And the same goes for the upside, right? If this is going to break up to 800, I'm okay missing this part of the move, right, to get in here. That's the essential idea of it, right? So price is contracting, Twitter's going crazy. You're an idiot if you're bullish, you're an idiot if you're bearish, blah, blah, blah. It all lines up with just consolidation and price kind of reaching that point where eventually we're going to see a large move coming out of this. So from a macro perspective on ETH, we're still super bull, right? Like you look at this chart, to me this is, a huge range. that we bottomed in, right? You know, we're talking a year and a half down here of accumulation of price, right? So huge area that we were accumulating. We broke out of this accumulation, basically retested the top perfectly, right? And now we've made a higher high, right? So we've now got a very clear low, right? High, higher low, higher high. Now the question is do we make a higher low? And if we do, where does that happen, right? Is this the higher low in here, right? It can be shallow, right? Or are we going to get something a little deeper? Because we all know, I've been saying this forever, as soon as we clear 610, like a daily close above 610, I'm aiming for 810, right? Or 620, excuse me. I'm aiming for 800, right? So the question is this it, right? Are we just going to leg up again? Or are we going to see some sort of corrective structure, right? And then a leg up. That's the $1 million question. That's the question everyone wants the answer to. Unfortunately, there's no way to know for sure until it happens, right? So all TA is, and I've talked about this before, is it's a way for you to make an educated guess about what might happen and then actually action on that information that you've collected in a risk-defined way. Right, so you make an educated guess based on, you know, confluence 1, 2, and 3, and then using your TA, you say, okay, well, this is where that idea, because it's just an idea, right? That's all a trade is. It's just an idea. Where's that idea wrong? And then you put your money behind it, and you live with the results, right? So for me, still from a TA perspective, right? I know we had this correction here. It's a little hard to see here, right? But we had this correction here, and then we had another correction here. For the most part, I'm still like looking at the weekly. I still feel like we should have, you know, a larger like pullback, like one of these, you know, something that's corrective in nature. It takes a few weeks, right, to play out. You know, similar to, you know, on the way up as well. You know, it takes a little while to play out. It's not just this one candle, bang, it's done, right? Like this candle that had that 17% correction closed green, right? Like that's what's crazy. And this candle closing in 36 minutes, the open is 6:02. I don't think it's going to close green. That'd be crazy. But it could close, you know, that'd be, you know, crazy. But I still feel like this is more likely, but I don't want to fight the trend, right? Like at the end of the day, any short opportunities you're taking right now are counter trend high time frame. The high time frame trend is up. Right, so any short opportunities you're taking are counter trend, and you need to be in and out quick, and you need to be able to cut that idea, cut that bias quickly, because the trend is up. That's what it is at the end of the day. So, as much as I would like this, or I would like this, I don't know if I'm gonna get it. Right, so I'm not sitting here waiting, being like, oh my god, if this doesn't dump, you know, I'm fucked. You know, I'm ready to buy in and to flip bull. And to me, the easiest way to do that is to just have a plan with very distinct setups for either way. So personally, I've already been short ETH for a while, right? I shorted ETH way back here. It's been like 2 weeks. And unfortunately, it has not sold off past this low, right? So, I mean, looking at this on the daily, we had our, you know, you have a big SFP right into that 620 level and that weekly supply, right? There's that weekly supply. There's our 620 level, big SFP right there. Okay. So I got short here, right? And then we made another low, right? But the problem is this buyback here, right? This is starting to look like, to me, this. It's starting to look like we've just come in. There's our swing. Right, and this is a higher low right here, and we're about to make a higher high. That's what it's starting to look like to me. What I much would have rather have seen, right, is you know, from this move up, a rejection, right, or at the very latest, like we got to reject from right here. And I posted this on Bitcoin as well, right? Like to me, we're in the last area that you can be bearish. If we get above here, I don't think this thing stops. I think this thing flies. But it is what it is, right? I mean, we've been bought up. Yeah, there's a CME gap below us, blah, blah, blah. The price action is bullish right here. This kind of looks like a higher low that's forming here. Like it looks like we've got a low, a high, a higher low here, and then obviously confirmation would be closing, going through this high and making a higher high. So I've prepared for either situation, right? So below 570, my plan was to be bearish down into the very least here, right? Which is about, let's just draw these lines on here. Right, so this is kind of my buy the dip area was here, just sub 500. I was really hoping to get one more stab down there. That was the TB on my F short. But we're back above 570, and so I've kind of been pretty consistent. In here is just kind of chop city, right? We got below, said, okay, maybe we're going to break down, reclaim the range, right? This is now just a deviation. So really your long idea, right? If you got long F, as long as this low holds, right? You pull any pullback here is a long, right? Your risk is the deviation. But for me, I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm going to keep it super, super simple. And what I mean by that is as soon as we get a daily close above here, I'm just going to fucking long the tits out of F because I think it will expand rapidly towards $800. And I think if we somehow have some sort of failure in here, right? Some sort of failure where it turns down, any sort of pullback, right? Because if I think it gets back below 570, I don't think it gets back above it for a bit. Any sort of pullback, I'm playing it down into here. So I'm still leaving the door open for a potential pullback, right? Into this zone at the very least. And then I mean the dream scenario is we pull back super hard into here, but the longer that takes to happen, the less likely it seems. But I'm still leaving the door open for it. But in reality, when you start looking at this on the high time frame, right? All of the flip-flopping, all of the back and forth, right? Is just this one candle here, right? We've had this super bullish candle, right? Here. And then now we're just kind of consolidating. And so the question is it like this, right? Are we seeing a move like this? Like on the monthly, everything just kind of becomes simple, right? Your pullback is here, right? Your pullback is just one candle on the monthly. That's 4 weekly candles, right? That's just one candle on the monthly, right? Here's your leg up. This is your pullback. There's your next leg up. So we could very likely see this be it, right, for December. And just another green monthly candle coming for the month of January, right? Or we could have back-to-back, 3 green monthly candles in a row. It's absolutely possible. We've had it multiple times before. But, I'm leaving the door open to a potential correction. We could see another leg up, something like this. I don't know. It's impossible to know for sure. All I'm doing is just saying, okay, well, what are the potential scenarios? Where would the targets be if those scenarios play out? And how can I get involved? And so for me, it's very simple. I'm looking at the daily here. I'm saying, okay, we've got a clear consolidation forming here. Breaking out of this consolidation lines up very much with my 620 level, right? So if I put my level right here, right, your breakout of the consolidation, it clears all of these bearish OBs. That's my long trigger. As soon as we get above here, wherever the low happens that actually breaks the level, right? So if we go like this, that is my risk right there. And then I'm longing that pullback there. And then on the other side, it's essentially the exact same thing at 570. Give or take 570 right there. We'll drop it right there. If we get back below 570, let's say this is the high, right? If we get back below 570, my risk is here, right? And I'm targeting that for whatever level here. And so it looks like it's wide, right? But this is the daily chart. So again, if I have a short that I'm going to be taking, let's say I enter here and my stop is here. Let's say this becomes the high. Down into my target here, right, is still a nice 3.5 hour trade. And if you watch my video from Friday, I also explained you can now get in tighter, right? You don't have to use the daily setup. You can then dial this down into the 15-minute, into the hourly to get a much tighter setup where the breakdown is going to be a smaller area of price action, but you're in line with the daily trend, right? So if the daily trend is bearish or the daily trend is bullish, as long as you're in line with that when you're looking for your low time frame setup, the probability of it hitting is way higher. But you can also get a very tight risk-defined setup on the low time frame, but maintain high time frame targets because you're in line with that high time frame flow. And that's how you get those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hour plus trades, is you enter on the low time frame, right? It's hard to get a 10-hour trade on the daily just based on how big the ranges are usually, right? The swing low from your entry is quite far, right? So, I mean, even let's assume you long this. I mean, this was a long I should have taken, right? This is to me, this was an easy long I should have taken here. Just the pullback into here. You zoom in, right? We came right into an H4 bullish OB right here. There's this as well, but this is more recent. What the hell? Right, we come right into the OB there, right into the 0.62, right? So there's a long setup in here. Whether you're just longing it, right? Where's your stop go? Based on the daily, technically, your stop's way the fuck there, right? Like, you got to be targeting 800, which most people are, for this setup to make sense, right? And look, 800 lines right up with a 1-to-1 price swing. You're getting a nice 5-hour trade there, right? But if you say, okay, my target is 800 based on the daily, well, if I'm bullish in here based on the daily and the H4, can I not zoom into the hourly and get in on a little bit of a tighter setup? And the question is yes, absolutely. That setup for me is right here. This breaker would be my setup right there. So the up candle before this down move, and I'd probably put my stop below the low there. That would be your setup on, the hourly. Same target as the high time frame setup at 800. But now look at how much better the risk reward is, because you've now dialed in on the low time frame. You're bullish in this gray area based on the daily and the H4. You've got the daily fib. You've got the H4 order block, and now you've got a 1-hour trigger. That's going to allow you to get a lot tighter of a stop, maintaining that daily target, because this is a daily setup. Technically, you're with the daily flow that you're taking. So this is what I talked about kind of extensively in the last video about layering the price action through different time frames, right? You do your analysis on one time frame, you can execute on a lower time frame, right? If you have 4-hour support, you don't have to wait for a 4-hour reclaim. You can zoom in and try and get in on a 1-hour reclaim, right? And you'll have a tighter risk reward setup, even though, kind of your analysis was done on that higher time frame. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't really know. That wasn't a super cohesive little segment there, but it's looking pretty bullish right now. We're back above 570, so I'm not bearish here, right? I'm not bearish here. I'm waiting for price to break one of these two ways. Right now this is looking like it might be a deviation, so I'm waiting for price to break one of these two directions for me to get long. If we get above here, we're going to 800. If we get back below here again, I do think we will test this level here at the very least. So I'm going to wait and see. It's early in the week. The weekly is about to close in 25 minutes. So, we're going to let kind of Sunday night, Monday unfold, and then kind of make a decision. It is typical for Bitcoin to want to be super fucking volatile on the weekend and around holidays, right when you thought you had a chance to relax. Bitcoin's like, fuck you, you're not sleeping. So seems like nothing has changed. Looking at the lower time frames, I mean, on the H4, we're coming into some sort of resistance here. I don't know if there's a clear level here, maybe this. Make this red and go back to the H4. So we're coming into a little bit of resistance here. My inclination, right, would be this is a deviation for now. So it would be this, right? Probably buy the dip here if you're given. Right, that would be kind of my thoughts just on like a lower time frame potential day trade. Maybe it comes deeper, right? But if it comes down here and it's not bought up almost instantly, then this is a lower high, right? Because technically on the H4, right, lower high, this could be a lower high, right? We have lower low, right? So it's not completely out of the woods yet, but you know, you don't want to fight strength necessarily. So I think you could take a long attempt here on a pullback into this area here, right? There's your fib, all that shit lines up for continuation, because if it does not get bought up here, right? If it comes here and does not get bought up, right? Well, then we're going much lower anyways. So that's kind of what I see from a day trading perspective here. You know, we're into resistance here on the H12, something to be aware of. Technically, right, we haven't put in a higher high yet on the H12 either. So just something to be aware of, right? This could, you know, make another low, and then, you know, maybe we get some sort of falling wedge action. But this is kind of a no trade zone for me, and that's how it's been for over a month now. Ever since we got up into this area, I said no trade in between here, wait for a clean break in either direction. And this was that clean break, right? This would be a short setup here, right there, right? But then it failed to continue lower, got back, reclaimed the low. Now that's a deviation. So does that all make sense? I know that was just like a lot of talking there. Oh, shoot my eyes. That's mad bright. Yeah, this is fucking Eamon's fault. He wanted this white-ass background. He wants me to go blind. What's up, Maine? Thanks for educating us. First timer. Thanks for tuning in, bro. I appreciate that. Bernardo, rich, sure. Girlfriend, doubt. Well, not with that attitude, bro. You gotta manifest that shit. Bears fucking disgust me. Yeah. Bulls disgust me too. I hate everyone. I'm just kidding. Is sug my worth buying? You can sug my balls, Max. Let's go, Brian. Hi, which time zone does trading use for candles? So you can set the time zone in the bottom here, right? So you can set the time zone to reflect wherever you live. So it's going to be relative, right? If you want to just use like kind of the London open, there's a section for London, right? If you want to use, you know, if you live in Asia, there's Hong Kong or whatever. So just click that little button there in the bottom where it says time zones, and you can adjust it to whatever you want. Can you enlarge your view? I don't know what that means. Hi, Maine, jumping from one stream to another. Crazy Sunday. Yeah, it seems like everyone's doing the Sunday streams now. I no longer own this time slot. What's up, Maxime? Dixie Enormous, bull. Looking like a failure to the downside at the moment. I agree, right? So the fact that we sold off here, right, and then reclaimed this area, so this would be the test, right? Someone asked me a couple streams ago, what makes a deviation versus a breakdown? Exactly this, right? So breakdown, retest, okay, looks good. Fails to continue down. We're now back inside this range, right? So if we come here, like that long setup that I sent you, and do one of these, this was a deviation. If we come here and then break back down again, right, you take this short, right, and maybe you get stopped out, right, or maybe you cut it early, but like that's the rules. You got to have rules that you follow the same every time, or else your system is useless, right? But we got to see basically, right, now the bulls do not want to lose this level, because to me, if this is a deviation, we cannot come below here again. If we come below here again, I think it gets way uglier. Short Bitcoin, bull are going to get trapped potentially. Can you explain what an SFP is? It's a swing failure pattern. So this is a swing failure pattern. You have a swing high here, right? Price trades through the high, but then closes back below the wick. Okay, that makes a swing failure pattern here, right? So it trades through this level, right, but then closes back below. And the reason it's called a swing failure is because at the time this looks like it's going to break out, but then when it closes back below, as the candle body closes back below the wick, this now actually can become a short setup. You short the pullback and your stop goes above the wick, because the idea is if this was a trap, right, we ran all the people who had stops up here, this price level should no longer get run. And I can actually show you that right here. So if you watch, learning time with Maine. So if you watch, oh, fuck off. That speed was way too fast. Ah, you piece of shit, motherfucker. Jump to here. Is it just going to print the entire candle or no? Oh. So, but you notice if I went on the lower time frame even. So, notice how it looks like it's breaking out, right? But then it closes back below. Once that happens, that is a swing failure pattern, right? Because at the moment, in a moment of time, it looked like this might be breaking high, right? But the idea is we've ran this high, taken out any people who had stops there, closed back below. That means we're going to shift directions. Doesn't work every time, but it's a very good pattern that I use a lot. Ah, fucking son of a bitch. The replay function always ruins my chart. No. Fuck. Alright, that's annoying. That's annoying as fuck. Alright, anyways. I wonder if I load this and then close this and then load this. I just beat the system, boys. Let's fucking go. Okay. Can I have a look at Wave? We'll do another link. Yeah, I'll look at that after. I'm up 20 G's on my Bitcoin short, shooting for 17K. I don't know where you're short from that you're up 20 G's. I mean, I imagine you were probably up even more yesterday or the day before. Don't be afraid to take profit. Remember, you're fighting the trend here. But that's sick. Congrats. GG. You look at the order book at all, still looks stacked on the short side. I don't look at the order book at all. Makes sense. Yes, it absolutely does. My eyes are burning. Mine too. Do you redefine your range often? And how often? I mean, you can define the range an infinite amount of times, right? Because there's ranges within ranges, right? So this is a range, right? No, stop it. This is a range, okay? This is also a range, right? This is a range. Okay, so you can do it as many times as you want, right? But usually when price starts going sideways, I'll take the first low, right, kind of to the high that started the range, and I'll use that and I'll leave that. And then once we break out of this range, then I can make a new range. But every time price makes a leg, right, this is a range, right, that price can then trade back into. And then it can either, now it's making a downtrend. Now we have a new range here, right? Or it can continue the upside, right? And then range again, right? So every time it makes a leg, right? But this is a daily, range. And so all of this price action that we're seeing here, right? All of this PA that we've seen is just us trading back into this daily range, right? So this is a bullish move. And now we're just trading back into this range. That's all that's happened. Nothing has happened outside of that initial range, but there's going to be ranges within the range. I'm not a huge range trader by any means. If you want the sauce on range trading, you go watch Trader SZ. He's the master. That is where I learned a lot about what I do with ranges. I've learned some range stuff from ICT as well that I talked about in the last video in terms of premium and discount. But yeah, it's the same as redrawing your levels, right? I would focus on recency, and then is it still active, right? If we're still within the range, why change it, right? But if we've closed outside of each side, maybe it's time to draw a new range. But for the most part, you don't need to redraw these things too often. You look gangster. Thanks, bro. It's fucking cold in here today, and it's rainy and gross outside. So I thought I'd be comfy. How long have you been looking like Eminem? I don't know. I usually get Logic, the rapper Logic. That's who everyone tells me I look like. Not so much Eminem, but I'll take Eminem. He's a much better rapper. When was the last time you got high? About a year ago, bro. I haven't smoked weed the entirety of 2020. I picked a bad year to stop getting high. Thanks, main. Great video. Thanks, Nicholas. Yes, indeed. Background is way too white. See, now people hate the white. First, it was not light enough. Now it's too light. I can't win. I can't win. Can you explain the market structure break here? So, market structure breaks are relative to time frame, right? I love that these videos just become educational sessions. They're not even about the charts, which is totally okay with me. It's all relative to time frame here, right? So technically, this to me is the H4 market structure right here. There's the high, there's the low. So for me on the H4, I mean, you could argue that this is a break in market structure, I guess, but to me, this would be the range on the H4 that I'm watching here. And until we break one of these two areas, this is just a range, right? And we're trading back, same as what I just explained on the daily, right? We're trading back into this range here, right? So until it breaks one of these highs or lows on the H4, there's no market structure shift for me personally. Someone might argue that this is an H4 market structure high. Technically it is, yes, but then this would be your range, right? From here to here, right? So it's all relative to time frame, right? Because if you go on the hourly, you could say, okay, well, you know, this is clearly in an uptrend. We're making higher highs and higher lows on the hourly, whereas on the daily, right, we've not made anything. We've made a high and a low and we've done nothing yet. We're same as the H4, right? We're just trading back into the range for now. So market structure is relative to time frame, right? So depending on the time frame you're looking at and analyzing, that's going to determine where the relevant market structure highs and lows are that you need to pay attention to for a shift in market structure. So it's all relative to time frame, right? I love this question. You seem to do mostly multi-day trades, swing trades. What is your average leverage when you're using these swings? Leverage means absolutely nothing, okay? Leverage is irrelevant, so stop worrying about leverage, right? What matters is your position size, right? So all you need to know to figure out, you know, kind of what you're doing on a trade is where is your stop going, okay? Where's your risk? How big is your position size? Right? And then where is your target? Those are the three main pieces of information that matter. Leverage is irrelevant. Leverage is used to reduce counterparty risk, right? And to allow for better capital allocation. You can you require less of your money on an exchange or tied to a specific position to take the trade, right? It doesn't mean that using more leverage means you'll make more money. All that matters is your position size, right? And then in a percentage basis, how far away is your stop from your entry, right? And then using those, you can calculate saying, okay, if I want to risk 2%, where does, so if my stop is at a 2% loss, my entry is here and my target is here, using those numbers, you can calculate how big your position size should be. So if you were to get stopped out, how much the amount that you lose is equal to 2%. So you can do the math manually. I've done a video on it before. Every exchange I use has a calculator that does it for you. So do not think about leverage. How much leverage should I be doing? All these people who talk about leverage like that don't fully understand it, or they're memeing, right? Leverage is irrelevant, right? Leverage has those two functions that I mentioned. What matters is where's your stop relative to your entry, and then how much money are you willing to lose on the trade. If your risk is 2%, and you obviously got to know your account value as well, right? But if you're willing to risk 2% on your, $10,000 account, so you're risking $200 on the trade, you need to know how big your position size is going to be. Leverage is irrelevant. So hopefully that answers your question. You the fucking legend. No, you're the legend, Kareem. Setup makes sense. Pull back to 570s. Looks like last check long. Stop below the H4 low. Double bottom, or we go much lower. Exactly. Perfect summary. Looks like I live in an igloo. I'm in Canada. Of course I live in an igloo. What's a breaker versus a regular order block? Good question. So, this is a order block, okay? Well, actually, let's... Hold on. My artistic muse is okay, so this is an order block right here. Okay, so the down candle that causes this move up, that takes out this high, okay? Come in, boom, this is an order block. This would be a bullish order block, okay? And you would long it with your stop there, okay? A breaker is going to be like this. Okay, so we have a swing low here. The up candle that causes the down move, right? So in this instance, the down candle that causes an up move, right? This is going to be an up candle that causes a down move, takes out a low. When we reclaim it, right? This is your buy right into here. This would be the breaker, okay? I'll show you on the candlesticks in a second. This would be a bullish breaker. This would be a bullish OB, a bob. And this would be a bullish breaker, a BB. Okay. Now the opposite would be a bearish one. So a bearish breaker would be this, right? Or a bearish order block would be this. The up candle that caused the down move that took out this low, that's your bearish breaker right there. You enter here, your stop goes here. And your bearish, that's your bearish order block. Your bearish breaker, I'm going to go fucking crazy trying to say all these over and over again, right? Is going to be this, right? So you have the down candle that caused an up move that took out this high. We get back below it, boom. So the key here, right, this is a bearish breaker. A bearish breaker is a bullish order block that fails, right? Because if you look, this is the same setup for the bullish order block, right? But when it fails... This high got taken out. This is now a breaker. The bullish breaker is a bearish order block, right? So remember the bearish order block setup is here, right? But then we come through, it fails, then it becomes a bullish breaker. Okay? Let's see if I can find those on the chart for you. So this here is a bullish breaker because this is supposed to be a bearish order block, right? We're in a downtrend. The up candle that moves down, the retest is a bearish order block, right? But we took out the low. This nuke through, this now becomes a, see the retest there? A bullish breaker, and that's the exact drawing I gave you, right? This is a bearish order block. Right? So the up candle that caused a down move, that took out lows, retrace into it, right? You sell. This one didn't end up playing out, but it is what it is. Same thing. And vice versa for bullish, right? So a bullish order block would be any of these here, right? So there's your swing high, right? Move up, pull back, there's your buy, your stop is down there. That's a bullish order block, right? And a bearish breaker would be there's probably one up here, would be this, right? It's a bullish order block that fails. I don't know if this gets filled. It looks like it does, just barely, right? So it's a bullish order block that fails, right? It's supposed to be bullish, it's not. It nukes through, right? Comes back, retests, sells off. Okay, that is the difference. What is your position size? I'm not fucking telling you, bro. Do you take funding rates into account when entering a trade? I mean, of course, there's instances when you should look at funding, right? Because if you're going to be sitting in a swing long or a swing short and funding is paying longs or paying shorts, that's something you want to pay attention to. Generally, funding flips, and then extremes in funding, like it's extremely negative or extremely positives, can be hints in terms of where we are relative to the trend. Are we going to see a trend shift soon? So it definitely matters. You can also gamify the funding a little bit, right? But the ideal situation is you're in a long and funding is paying longs. That's the dream. You're winning twice, right? So it matters. It's not something that make or breaks a trade for me personally. But yeah, you definitely want to pay attention to it and understand it. I think people usually absolutely don't know what leverage is when they ask about leverage. I completely agree. What is a breaker OB versus a regular one? You just asked the same question as Brian. I just answered that. Looks like a good hour for a short scalp. Thanks, man. So I'll ask another. What is the average stop loss percentage? I usually aim between 1 to 5% max per trade. And that's not of my portfolio. That's of what I have on the exchange. 5% risk is like my super risky trade. It would be a super confident trade that I am very confident that's going to work out because I'm willing to risk up to 5%. But for the most part, I'd say my average trade is 2 to 3% risk of the value of the account on that given exchange. Are you in a position right now? I'm short Ethereum. That is it. I'm in Canada too. Nice. I see. So it's breaker is essentially like an SR flip or an over under, but there's a little bit of kind of nuance there in that there's a liquidity grab on one side, right? So it grabs liquidity, breaks down below, boom. They often line up very well with swing failure patterns. I was under the impression that a breaker further promotes the action of the OB that caused the uptrend or downtrend. I don't understand your question. A breaker is exactly what I just explained there. Okay, let's get back to the charts here. So let's look at Bitcoin here because we're about to have a weekly close in 1 minute. Where is my box? All right, so basically what I've drawn out here is like this is like kind of the last chance for the bears here. And what I mean by that is we have kind of this daily range. Within this daily range, if I throw on the fib here, okay? Oh no. Oh no. Okay, within this daily range, if this is going to go down, it needs to reject kind of from this 0.79 area, and it's already breaking it right now. As you can see, we're trading right at it, right? So we're in the upper part of the range, the premium, and then within this smaller range, within that larger range, right, which is just from here to here, okay, we're in that kind of 0.79 area as well, within this little range. So if this is going to, and we have this bearish order block here, right? So if this is going to sell off, this is pretty much the ultimate extreme I would want price to get to before it legs down. Because to me, if we start closing through here, right? If we start closing through here, I think that this is going to fucking launch to like $22,000, right? So this is a super critical area, and I don't really see any sort of bearish argument. There's very little bearish argument as is, but I don't really see any sort of bearish argument if we're able to start closing through this kind of, 9.2 to 9.5 area. So if we start trading above here, right? I mean, this is kind of an okay sign if you're a bear, like, okay, we've got a little bit of a daily wick there. You can see how well the levels worked, right? We wicked right into this H12 order block, but like this needs to sell off immediately, right? Because basically what this is annotating is this would be a lower high, this is a lower low, and we go and make another lower low. That would be kind of the only hope that the bears have left. Any sort of trading above this 7.9 here, I'm getting long for a $3,000 move to the upside. So weekly close perspective here, just looking at the weekly candle, hard to be bearish after that, right? Like that is, how often do you see Bitcoin put in a weekly candle with a super long lower wick and then not trade up afterwards, right? That candle looks like this candle, right? I know the market conditions are different, but Maybe you could argue here, like at this top, right? Super long lower wick, and then we sold off. But for the most part, right, a long lower wick like that, to me, shows failure on the bear's part to push price lower, right? We traded lower, and then it got bought completely back up. So at the start of the week, right, at the start of the week, this looked very bearish, right? Here's the start of the week, right? You know, here's the weekend, right here. The start of this week, we look super bearish. That's a big red candle, and then they basically closed it up like this, making all this PA down here just a wick. So not the kind of thing I necessarily would want to see if you're like a bear and you think we're going back to like 14K or something like that. That's not the kind of weekly candle that you want to see, in my opinion. So pretty straightforward here on Bitcoin, I think, in terms of what I think happens. This is it for the bears. This is the last stand. If they fail to reject price here, I think we go much higher, and I think we're talking through all-time high. All right, so yeah, Bitcoin, you know, very similar price action to ETH. Like if you look at these side by side, right, the price action is essentially the exact same, right? This would be 17.2K for Bitcoin. This is 17.6K for Bitcoin, right? 17.2K, 17.6K. The analysis that I did on Ethereum is effectively the exact same analysis that you can do right here. You can pull a low to a high here. You throw on the fib, right? And it looks like we're just trading back into this range, bang, right into the 0.7 or the 0.62, and we're pushing up now. So if the bears have any fucking hope, right, this needs to sell off. If you're a bull and you're looking for a bullish setup, I think this would be a good long, right? So if you think the low is in, right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 green 12-hour candles in a row. So there is a chance, you know, and then a red one. There is a chance that this pulls back a little bit. I don't see why, if you're not in a position, you don't take a long like this. To me, that's a very straightforward setup. This would be your bearish break or your bullish breaker. If I pull my fib from here to here, that'd give you essentially a perfect 50% pullback. That seems like a pretty decent long to me, if it is offered. If you're bearish, you are expecting this to form a lower high, and its confirmation is on a loss of this low. So the question really for me on Bitcoin is twofold. Let's assume for a second, let's speak hypothetically that this is going to form a lower high. Okay, let's assume that this is going to sell off. Once it gets through this low, right, this 7.2 trade I think is super fucking crowded. Everyone was talking about 7.2. Maybe they're quiet now because they think we're going up. But there's a chance that we just do this, like, and we just nuke this level completely. The other question is this was the 7.2K trade and it just got front run, right? Here was the 17.2K long. Everyone was watching, right? And it just got front run because everyone wanted it. And it just never came back there fully, right? So I talked about this on Twitter. I said, if we get this, long the fuck out of it, maybe this was it, right? It's not always going to give you that perfect pullback that you want, where it comes all the way deep into the 7.9 and gives you the exact pullback you want. Maybe this was it, and it just got front run. So to me, I think, you know, if you're bearish, your invalidation is any sort of, you know, obviously your invalidation could be the high, right? But I think once we get through this high, it's just going to start ripping. I would say if we start trading above here, get any sort of H4, H12 close above this 7.9, right? So if we get a 4-hour close above 19,500, essentially, I would cut and run. Or if you're looking for and this is the primo max short opportunity here. If it's going to go down, it happens from here. And if you're a bull and you're looking for a setup because you missed the bottom, I think this is a pretty reasonable setup to take right here, right? Your stop can either go below the low or below the breaker. I would probably put my stop below the breaker in this instance here, right? Because I think if it comes back down this low, it's probably going lower. So this seems to me like a pretty good setup here. Let's assume it gives you it. You put your stop like right there. Into the highs is at 3R, right? And then 22K. Yeah, nice, real nice trade there. Something like this would be something I would take. So that's that for Bitcoin, right? I think pretty straightforward. You know, if it's going to turn around, it absolutely has to turn around here, right? There's a CME gap below us. What's the CME fucking Bitcoin? There we go. Right, so there is this gap here. What does that line up with? What did I just show you? This breaker. Right, so that would be a pretty decent gap fill narrative too, right? Fill the gap, right, into the breaker and then go. Right, so that lines up with the CME gap getting filled, right? This gap got filled. No reason to think that this one doesn't get filled, right? So why long right into the high? Why not wait for a little bit of a pullback, right? Don't chase. I say this all the time. I'm like, don't chase the red candles, right? Once we start dumping here, all the discords I'm in, all on Twitter, in my mentions, in my DMs, should I short Bitcoin now? It's like, we just fucking dumped, right? If you're going to short, wait for the pullback. Now you short if you want to short. Same goes for the longs, right? If you just see this happen, 4 green H12 candles, should I long now? No, fucking wait, right? Because it's either going to pull back here and give you a better setup, or if it does continue breaking out, it eventually will pull back and give you a better setup that you can then define your risk. Because now that I have this pullback happen, I can say, okay, well, where's the move originated from? It's from here, right? Now I know where my risk goes. Same thing here, right? So if this move does pull back to here, now I can say, okay, well, my risk is either here or here. I can actually define it. When you're just chasing the green candles, it's a lot harder to define your risk. So that would be what I'm watching for on Bitcoin. Let's see if we fill that gap into this area, and if we show some bullishness, long the piss out of it. This is where it needs to top, if it's going to top. All right. Stop loss percentage is not given. Depends on the setup. What always matters only is position size. Well, technically, you calculate your position size based on your risk, right? Weekly close in 2. Let's look at Bitcoin. Okay, we just did. Do you look at... Thanks for the education. You're welcome. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Do you also look at Sierra charts? No, I do not. I don't look at books. I don't look at any sort of shit like that. I do none of that. Can we look at ADA? Absolutely. Hi, Trader Man. Thanks for the great content. I see you use OBs, SR levels, and fib confluence. You've asked me this question before, man. I think you asked this in the last Sunday stream. You use OBs, SR levels, fib confluence. Do you use another thing for confluence before you pull the trigger? You've basically described 90% of my edge right there, or my strategy, whatever you want to call it, is OBs, SR, fibs, market structure. That's the essence of what I do. The rest of it is just huge nuts. That's what really gets me over the line. Thanks for the video. You explain things so well and make it sound so easy. Thanks for tuning in, bro. I appreciate the comment. Trade a cause. I'm sorry I'm late. I miss you. I miss you too, bro. Fuck the Detroit Pistons, though, man. The Raps got it this year in the East. Do you have a Discord channel? How do we join? I do have a Discord channel. The link is in the bio of my Twitter. So go on my Twitter, click the link in my bio, and my Discord is there, and you can join. Same view as you, big man. Flip 19.4, last week's weekly open. Go long as fuck. So one thing you'll notice when you start trading for a long time is that key levels seem to happen at convenient places. So when I'm marking key SR, key order block, shit like that, I often find that they will line up very closely with the weekly open. So I didn't even have the weekly open on my chart, okay? I said this is kind of my key invalidation for being bearish right here. And if I throw on the weekly open, look at how well that lines up right with that key and bearish validation level. So you could argue that if we regain last week's weekly open, that's super bullish, right? So another tool to the toolkit you can add there. If you short F but expect it to move north based on your TA, when do you close F short since it tends to track BTC. Yeah, like if I decide that I want to long Bitcoin, I will close my F short. But I'm short F from $609, so I'm fine. I'm not gonna ride it to stop out, but if Bitcoin starts getting bullish, like I said, it starts trading above here, gives me a bullish setup into this breaker here, then I'll probably just close F and then long Bitcoin. I also own spot Bitcoin, right? So I'm effectively always unleveraged long. Man, can you show the painting behind you? It looks like a man pulling his pants down, exposing his asshole. It's actually a Buddha. I don't know. Can you see this? It's a Buddha. I'm trying to look in the viewfinder to see. There's a little bit of a lag between Twitter and what shows up fucking on the thing there. There you go. All right, back to my ugly mug. All right, all-time high, no stress there. In 3 days, it moved about 2.5K, so 22.5K will not be that far. Fib extensions match as well, 100%. So you've got to remember, right? Like 1,000-point swing at these levels is not the same as 1,000-point swing at 10K, right? Going from 10 to 11K is a 10% move, right? Going from 20 to 21K is not a 10% move, right? So as we get higher in price, those larger price swings are smaller on a percentage basis and vice versa, right? As we go lower in price, $1,000 move becomes, more relevant. So you've got to pay attention to that. Moving $2,000 at these prices is not as crazy as it was 5 months ago. Even 2 months ago, 3 months ago, however long it was. How long ago were we at 10K? Fucking 2.5, 3 months ago. So I'm trying to figure out, do I have a good angle here? Sure, fuck it. And yeah, that where I got 22K from, right? Is literally the 1.618 fib extension, right? And then your symmetrical price swing would be somewhere around 24K. Isn't that a hanging man weekly candle? I don't know, it might be. What does a hanging man mean? Is it bearish? I don't really use candlestick patterns or anything like that. That H12 breaker is clean as fuck. I agree. Aligning up very much with the CME gap, this would be a pretty nice potential fucking setup here if it plays out. So we'll see. I'll probably post about it on Twitter later. I'm bearish, and you're right. My validation is literally right there. Glad we're on the same page. When BTC surpasses and stays above all-time high, will you make a kickflip video? Maybe off some stairs. Yeah, sure. I'll make a video of me sketching behind a car and trying not to die. I'm old now, man. I'm not kickflipping down shit. Any tips on dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin? Sure. So, when you're using a dollar cost averaging strategy, you have to be able to mentally prepare to be in drawdown. And what I mean by that is, let's say your plan is to buy on dips. There's going to be dips that go deeper than you think, and there's going to be times where price rips and it does not give you the pullback that you want. So you have to be okay being like, let's say it dips to 16K, right? And you bought here, but then it dips to 14K. Like, are you going to freak out and flip your bag and flip bear? Right? If you're of the mind, right, the only reason to be dollar cost averaging in Bitcoin right now is if you're of the mind that we are going to like way beyond where price is now, let's say 40, 50, 60K, whatever. So you want to be buying in on any sort of dip, but there are going to be times where you don't time the dip perfectly and it goes deeper, it doesn't come shallow enough. So you just need to have rules that you follow, and then you need to have the understanding that there are going to be times where you're not instantly in the money. My suggestion would be anytime we have a double-digit red day, or red move on Bitcoin. What do I mean by that? I mean this. Okay? That's a 15% drop, right? That's a 10% drop, right? Same thing here. 10%. Anytime we have a double-digit pullback, I would say is a good time to maybe average in a little bit on the way up. That would be kind of what I would do if I was trying to dollar cost into it. And you got to realize there's going to be times where it hits 10%, you buy some, but then it drops 15%. Do you take that? Do you see that as an opportunity, or do you see that as like, holy shit, what the fuck do I do? Right? Because if you say, okay, well, it's actually down 15%, I'm still bullish, maybe I buy more. Right? Or maybe I just hold it knowing it is going to go up eventually. Usually in a bull run, the dips get eaten very quick, right? Right back up. Drop down. This is like, multiple weeks of selling, basically all reversed here. So as long as you're okay with that kind of psychological aspect of it, that's what I would do. Yeah, it was just a reaction due to the guy asked about your stop loss percentage. What do you think about the FBTC chart? That's a great question. It's just called F and chill at the end of the day. So FBTC, I've been talking about this chart forever, right? And I eventually, when I did my very first Ethereum and chill stream, I talked about us eventually, we were trading up here back in August. I said, we're going to come back and retest here at the very least. Okay, so again, similar to F, I'm very bullish on this chart. I think we have a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high. The question is, are we putting in the higher low here? And is it in? Or are we going to put in a deeper higher low? Right? Very similar to the Ethereum chart when you look at it, right? So, if I zoom in a little bit here, trying to see where the hell I got that level from. There it is. We've got a 3-day bearish order block here. We've obviously come up through it, but we're kind of fighting resistance here. So the question is, are we going to come a little bit lower, or is this it, right? So to me, the FBTC chart is super fucking simple. If you have a move above this area, I think that the bottom is in. Let's fucking party for alts. If this turns into a lower high here, right? Because this is a medium-term downtrend. Like, we're in a high time frame uptrend, but in a high time frame uptrend, right? In this uptrend, there's a downtrend, right? And then an uptrend, and then a downtrend. But what makes it an uptrend is the uptrending parts are bigger than the downtrending parts, and vice versa. So if this proves to be a top here, I could see this come back into this gray and maybe even lower. So that is something that I'm watching right now. But if we can get above this 3-day block here, so basically above 0.32, you could essentially say, right? It's effectively 0.32, right? Once we get above this, this confirms to me that this is the higher low for this price swing, right? And then we're going to just see a big old move up like this, and it's going to be awesome, and everyone's going to be fucking stoked. But if we do reject here, we could see some alts bleed, and then it might be, where the USD pairs continue to look good, but the BTC pairs don't look so good, right? This is essentially your proxy for altcoins, right? So right now it's looking decent, right? This to me is like, looks like a nice clean fucking higher low. Fuck off with your fucking bullshit. Fuck you. Oh God. Right? Boom. Right into the 0.75. You could not get any more picture perfect. Retesting this level. This was an awesome, fuck off, fuck you. This was an awesome buy here, right? Now we just need to get above here. If we get above here, I think we're going to continue to rip, and ultimately my target on FBTC is way the fuck up here. I think eventually we're going here. But for now, this is kind of our key resistance level that we need to get through, because if we do reject from here, right? If we do reject from here, we could come back, and retest this low and then make a move up. But this is kind of the key area that I'm watching, is this kind of little order block right here, key level at 0.032. But overall, again, just like on Ethereum USD, I'm super bullish on this chart. I don't see any reason to not be bullish on this. I think it looks super good. Okay, so I wanted to explain. Okay. That was the first time I asked, bro. Thanks for your answer. Learning from you. Thanks, Mehmet. Sheesh. Thanks, dude. You're welcome. Thanks. These videos are valuable. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Let's see if we can get fucking. I'll be a YouTuber here. Let's see if we can get 100 likes on the video. There's 140 of you watching. Traders do need meditation. I'm a firm believer and a big proponent of meditation and just mentally unwinding, and visualizing, writing your goals down and shit. I'm all about that. Do you scalp with this swing range stuff? Absolutely. I'm not a scalper per se. It's something I'm working on. I'm working on making a system to scalp better. But price is fractal. Everything that I show you here on the daily and H4, you could apply to the 1 hour and the 1 minute. It works the exact same in theory. It's just not something that I'm perfect at yet. It's something that I want to get better at. I like the idea of being in and out of a position relatively quickly. But it's just a little bit of a different beast, right? Having your stop, super close to your entry and being in and out of a trade maybe within a couple hours instead of a couple days. But the idea, the TA, it all works the same. If my high time frame's the daily, I'm executing on the H4 and the H1. Technically, your high time frame could be the hourly, and you're executing on the 15 minute and the 5 minute. It works the same. Is it someone buying or just a bad print? I don't understand. Do Forex trading sessions matter? Sometimes I read things like Asia likes to dump and US likes to pump. I mean, it is what it is. I think people kind of overcomplicate things with these narratives, like Asians always dumping on us. Like, just focus on times of volatility, right? There's going to be volatility when the Americans wake up. There's going to be volatility when the Asian countries and the UK wakes up. Right? Then there's going to be dead zones kind of in the in-between. But yes, Forex trading sessions do work. The kill zone shit does work. But just focus on times of volatility, right? Like in the middle of the day, maybe when it's near the end of the day for the US, but it's not quite morning for Asia and Europe, there might be some dead times, right? In Forex, you get the Asian range. It's usually a relatively, tight range with not a ton of volatility. ONG, I think it's about stocks. John McGuffin. What is this about? I'm new to here. I have no idea. ONG, I think this is about stocks. Yes, this is about crypto. I don't know how else you would have found this stream if you don't follow me on Twitter. I usually dollar cost average based on time and not price. Okay, that's an interesting strategy. Tar Sir, solid content, main. How many months, years did it take you to really solidify your trading and get confident? I'd say about 3 years until I was consistently making money. And I'm at 7 years now. 2 hours past midnight, my time zone. Nice to catch you live for once. We'll watch the rest tomorrow. Would appreciate your take on algo. Sure, I'll take a look at algo. Thanks. May the force be with you and yours. May the force be with you, my friend. Thanks. Metal stream was clean. Had not looked at gold in a bit. Mapped it on the high time frames. Already getting interesting. Gold trades really clean. Absolutely, gold trades super clean. I'll give you a like if you go dark with the chart. It's burning. Dude, it's burning my eyes too. Eamon's not even in the chat anymore, and he's the one who made me do this. Let's see. Is this better, or do we hate this? Okay, so I'm going to talk about a couple altcoins now. We're already at an hour and 15 minutes, so I'm going to finish off the video talking about these 3 altcoins that I had mentioned, DOT, SwingBee, and AVE. And then I will chart any alts that you guys had left in the chat, because I know you guys left a few in the chat as well that you wanted me to look at, so I'll take a look at those too. So let's start with DOT. I'm going to preface this with I have no fucking clue what DOT does. But I've been told by people who do know what it does that it looks good and that I should take a look at it. So, okay, is this better? Is this red and black just better? feel like it's so basic, but I'm gonna stick with it. So weekly, there's not much here. There's not much here for me. The only level of interest for me on the weekly is right there. Oh, I'm gonna have to change all my colors on my levels now. Okay, that's the only level of interest for me on the weekly chart here. Okay. You know what, real quick, before I talk about this, I'm going to talk about the dollar. Back to white. It burns. Okay, dollar, right, came into my key level on the monthly. Now I want to see bullishness this week. The dollar bulls need to step up bigly. If this fucking rolls over here, I mean, Bitcoin is going to pump, right? I talked about this in the gold stream, but I really want to see the dollar push up here. That would be ideal from this monthly level. Anyways. So only level I care about here on the dot weekly chart, on the BTC chart, is right there, okay? It's this level right here, okay? You know what? Someone should make me a theme. That would be super fucking cool. Okay. Yeah, if someone wants to make me a theme, that would be fucking hype. This is the only level I care about on the weekly. So this is kind of a bearish weekly order block, right? So this is going to be the key for this BTC dot chart. Once we have a chance to regain this level here on a weekly time frame, right? Because right now that's like, you know, it could be a bearish retest and we can make another low. But if we can regain this level on the weekly, it's going to look super, super bullish, in my opinion. And there's a very good chance that it, you know, kind of flies. Because you can look at the same example right here, right? Came up, retested bearishly. So it's going to need to clear this candle, right? That is going to be the key. And now if we zoom into the 3-day, we actually have a little demand zone right here. Okay, so we have a little demand zone right here. You can see formed, we're kind of bottoming out, right? So this to me just looks like a coin that got listed, pumped like crazy, right? And has basically fully retraced the move. So no interest in buying this thing anywhere here until here. This is the first area of support that I've seen on the chart. So this is why I'm interested in this coin now. It's basically retraced the entire fucking move. We can use our fib logic here as well, right? Pull our regular fibs, change the color to white, right? Boom, we're right into the 0.75. Look at how the 0.75 almost lines up identical to the start of that order block, right? So what we want to see now here is bullishness, okay? So I'm going to be watching this coin closely. I think if you're looking to buy into a coin like this, long term, the BTC chart looks bottom to me. This looks like a bottom. It's not confirmed yet, right? So we zoom in. I still need to see some sort of bullishness form here, okay? Because this can continue to just bleed down, right? It can continue to bleed down. So there's no reason to hop too far, you know, crazy on the bull train yet. If you're looking to enter this as like a trader, you know, you want to see some sort of bullishness. I'd say at least on the daily, but the H4 is kind of starting to turn a little bit, right? So what I mean by bullishness is exactly this, right? So notice we come down to this low, right? We've basically swing failure pattern the low. We're seeing a little bit of a move up, but I need to see some sort of bullish market structure. So a bullish market structure shift for me would be here, right? Because then we'd have, okay, this is a low, right? Now we have a higher low, like a low, a high, a higher high, and then we look to get in on like a higher low. This would be where I'd want to enter, right? So what I would kind of want to see price do is something like this, right? And then like this. And then I'm looking to get in here, right? So I need to see some sort of bullishness form. And then we can see it start to run. But it's basically bled down into this zone. I bet you if I threw the RSI on here, we have an oversold bullish divergence starting to build. I don't even need to have the RSI on to just know that shit. Sure enough, right? So what do we have here, right? This is not a bullish divergence, but what we have here is a bullish divergence. This made a lower low, okay? Very slightly, but a lower low. And look at the higher low here on the RSI, right? So you've got a H4 bull div starting to form here, right? So could be a clue that this thing is getting ready to turn around. But again, want to see us come and take out this high before I really start cranking into this thing. But the dollar or the Bitcoin chart looks bottom. Like, to me, this looks like if this is going to bottom, this seems like a good place for it to bottom, right? We're into that first demand, 70.5% retracement, fully retraced the entire move essentially. This is looking bullish to me. Want to see some sort of bullishness form on the low time frame here, the very least the H4. So basically looking for something like this to play now, right? Something like this. And then I'm looking to get in here. So I like this one. I think, you know, if you're looking at this, I'm being told that it has good fundamentals, which gives it a narrative to pump. It's active, blah, blah, blah. All I look at is the chart, and the chart looks to me like it's completely depressed and getting ready to be a buy. Looking at the dollar chart, you know, very different situation here on the dollar chart. In terms of just kind of where price is at. It did not retrace nearly as deeply as the Bitcoin chart. The Bitcoin chart looks bottom. The dollar chart, you know, is looking like it might be turning into a potential uptrend here. So if I'm watching the dollar chart, what I'm watching is right here, right, and right here. So we've closed through this weekly bearish order block. We're now pulling back into it. So now if I zoom in, right, what I want to see now is I want to see this kind of bullishness here continue. So I'm just going to delete those. This is so weird looking at the charts like this. It's tripping my eyes out. Right, I want to see this hold. Can it come a little lower? Sure. Right, but ideally I want to see this hold, because kind of what I'm looking at here is this is essentially kind of an accumulation range here. Right, this is your range. Okay, so accumulation, breakout, make a higher high, right? Made a higher high. Now I want to see this form a higher low, right? So that's what we're watching for here on DOT. Question is this going to hold, or is it going to make one more leg down, right? That's what we're going to be watching for here. But the Bitcoin chart looks bullish, and this looks like it's broken out of a key range. So this is kind of an area now that I'm watching for on this coin to show some bullishness. Can it hold this higher low? You can do the exact same thing we did on the Bitcoin pair here, right? Okay, I want to see the H4 form some bullish price action, right? So we took out that low, but we've now made a higher high relative to here, right? So on the H4 chart, I'm now looking for a potential pullback into this area here, right? And this would be kind of my long on DOT USDT. It would be a pullback into here, and that would be a decent long opportunity here. But the dollar chart, I think, looks okay, right? Big accumulation, breakout, retest, and the Bitcoin chart looks depressed as fuck, right into support. So now you just need some bullish price action to start forming before it's ready to go. Swing B. So this is another one that I'd been told to look at from some people who are very smart. They told me it's a good project, and it's a DeFi project, by understanding that, you know, obviously looks like it got listed and just sold all to hell. So the only reason I'm interested in this is because after some huge sell-off like this, right, I'm not saying it's bottomed yet, right? It could do this, but it's looking like it's kind of forming a base here. And if it is, and everything starts pumping, Bitcoin, blah, 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 starts pumping, this could have a lot of upside. So looking at this, starting on the weekly chart, not really any levels I would look at here on the weekly. I mean, these are upside levels that are insanely far away, but this is a level of interest to me here, right? And then if I zoom in onto the 3-day, we now have a little bit more clarity. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just delete this one. I'm gonna mark out this, right? So this seemed to be very similar to DOT in that we have kind of an accumulation range here. Your range high right there, your range low there, and it looks like we're just starting to break out. So if I'm just looking at this from the 3-day chart, to me, that looks like a breakout, and this looks like the target, right? So it looks like we've made a range here, we've broken out, and then this is the new price range that I'm interested in. And I think this can have a lot of upside if it can hold this area here. So that's what I'd be watching on this swing V chart here, right? Is if we can hold this, right? Make a move up to there. I think that looks pretty good. Do the exact same shit we did on the other chart, right? Zoom into the daily. Interesting, we have this daily block here, eh? I'm gonna stick with the 3-day one. Accumulation, breakout. This is a nice looking breakout. I imagine if I threw volume on here, there would be a decent volume kick here. No, big volume kick there. Not so much there, but there's your volume kick, right? And there's your move. So higher low here is kind of what I want to watch for here, right? Ran this low. Let's see if we can get some bullishness this week. H4 chart is not that clean. It's kind of trading a little messy, right? But basically what I'm seeing here is consolidation, right? Right above support. So we broke the level, we're consolidating. I now want to see a move away. So the H4 chart here, right? We ran that low. We basically got a triangle here that's attempting to break out of. So I want to see continuation on the H4 chart with a target of here, okay? If this breaks back down below this gray, okay, if it breaks down below this gray, I think we look back into here for a higher low, because I still think this looks like it could potentially have bottomed, right? But we might be able to get it cheaper. So that would be kind of what I'm watching for on this chart here. This is the BTC chart, right? So if we if we hold this gray, I think we can target up here. If we lose this gray, I think we look to long this thing in kind of the 275 to 300 sat range. Again, another project. It's got some good backing, it's got some good buzz around it, and it's been extremely sold off, and might look like it looks like it might be bottoming. There's so many shitty altcoins out there that people tell me to look at, and the charts look like absolute trash, right? This looks like absolute trash until here. This is what you want to see if you're going to be bullish on a coin. The other advantage this has over some of the other coins that people make me look at is this is a newer coin. It's only been around for a few months. It's gotten listed, right? It's got an active team still. To me, there's way less bag holders and way more narrative to pump this coin than there is to punt some coin that's been here since 2017. That is, 99% away from 99% down from all-time high and has been for 3 years, right? It'll take a lot less money to move this market than it will Verge, right? Because there's so many more bag holders in Verge. So this is kind of what I'm watching on this. So it's looking okay, right? But I want to see this bottom structure play out, right? So what I mean by that is a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. Question is this the higher low, or is the higher low going to come in here? But either way, this is the most bottom that this thing has looked since it got listed, right? Been straight down, finally some sideways, and now it looks like it might potentially be turning around. Swing BUSD, the chart looks almost identical. This one not quite through resistance yet. Okay. Coming up into this kind of 8 to 10 cent region, but very similar price action to the BTC pair. And this would be kind of what I'm watching on this thing, right? So again, sold to absolute death. Finally some sideways and potentially showing some bullishness here. Very similar play, right? Are we going to come back here perhaps? Maybe, and this would be a buy for me, right? This would be rebuying the old range high, right? So this is your accumulation, rebuy the range high. And then you play that to here at the very minimum, right? And if we flip this, I think it goes much higher. If we're able to flip that, I think we have a nice shot at 12 cents. And then, this thing starts getting really thin up above here, right? So again, above here, here, and here. If we reject here, right? Buy here to here at the very least, and then potentially, right? But this looks okay to me, and I don't hate this. So again, sold the shit, relatively new coin, active product. Also got the seal of approval from TraderXO and Posty, and those guys know their altcoins. And the chart agrees. So the whole point of this section for me is I'm going to be showing you guys that, because I'm not a fundamental trader, I've told you guys this 1,000 times. I don't really look at white papers. I don't read any of that shit. I don't follow these projects for the most part. But what I want to show you is you can use TA combined with, good fundamentals. If a coin has good fundamentals and you're doing that research, it'll show up, right? The TA will show up when the coin is bullish, right? And so if it's got that fundamental backing, all that positive shit, EXO did a great video on this project, I think just today. When the chart starts to look good, those are the coins that can pump like crazy, right? Like if you remember, Verge had like some huge fundamental shit going on during its crazy pump, right? So did fucking coins like VET, right? It had all these potential announcements and partnerships, right? I'm not saying this is a scam like those ones were. My understanding is there's some legit stuff behind this project and DOT and AVE, but the TA will line up with that, right? Like you don't need to buy it right away. Wait for the chart to look bottomed, and then that FA catalyst is going to be what allows something like this to have a really nice market cycle. New coin, not too many bag holders, not something that's been here for 4 years and just sold off relentlessly. I like this a whole lot more than I like something like a Verge or some old 2017 altcoin. All right, lastly, AVE. Again, not really sure what this coin does, just know that it's a beast, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it. And it's just bullish looking, right? I'll start with the Bitcoin chart. Like this thing has been a beast, right? Like, so the question is this like Link, or is this just gearing up for a fucking monster cycle, right? So, I mean, market cycle back here, huge accumulation range, and then a big pump here. So the question about this coin is this the end of a market cycle and we're going to have a very long accumulation period, or is this thing going to fucking fly? And, this is just kind of, pump one before, a major fucking parabolic uptrend. So to me, just based on where the market is as a whole and how this coin is held up, essentially it's held, kind of relatively stagnant through the entirety of, kind of the last 2.5, 3 years of the bear market that Bitcoin went through, right? So here's Bitcoin all-time high. This thing bled off, right? But then this thing now had a huge pump. The question is this it, right? And this is going to do another one of these long drawn-out periods, or is this going to have another, kind of leg up, multiple cycles, kind of go parabolic? I've heard a lot of good things about this coin from some friends who are very smart with altcoins. So just looking at this from a TA perspective, we had this big pump here, pulled back all the way into here. Okay, now the level that we need to regain on the weekly is here. Okay, right now I wouldn't really buy this thing where it is right here. I mean, maybe on the lower time frame there's a little bit better of a setup. Right, so we ran this low into this demand. Right, now we're potentially forming a new shift in market structure here, right? But this is the key level here that we need to get above for me to get interested in this thing. And when we do, I think it flies, right? So the question on this coin is if this is the low, right, and we're going to continue trading up, I want to see it trend up into here. I don't want to see it lose any of these lows. So it can come here, but I don't want to see it lose any lows, and then ideally gets above here, and I think this thing should rip. So don't hate the Bitcoin chart, but again, it's coming up into some resistance here, right? This would be resistance, all these lows here, 3-day order block right here, right? But it's forming kind of like an ascending triangle or whatever you want to call it. So I want to see this continue to trend up, and then I want to see it reclaim this level. And I know that's far away, right? It's 30-40% away. But if it can show bullishness, maintain higher lows, right, and reclaim that previous floor from the weekly right here, I think this thing will rip. And it's not just, a dead coin. I don't think this is like a Link where I think it's just dead. Link I think is more bearish than a coin like this. Overall, I'm still favoring being in Bitcoin and Ethereum over any altcoins. Other altcoins, I think those are outperforming and will continue to. But this is one that is of interest to me, and a lot of people have told me is, got some good fundamentals and backing and stuff behind it. So again, chart looks okay. But what I'm going to do over the coming weeks is continue to track these, and we'll just see, right? We'll see how well the TA that I do works on altcoins, not just Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? USD pair, obviously just a beast since, the start of November. This thing is up 8x. What do I want to look at here? So I would venture to say, if this thing is going to continue to go up, right, you don't want to see it lose this area right here. Okay, so this is kind of like a little SR flip right here. So I would want to see it hold here on a kind of higher time frame basis. This is obviously quite a ways away from price, but if you zoom in a little more, get a little bit more detail. Again, very similar. You want to see this maintain this uptrend from this low, right? And if it can do that, good chance it does something like this, right? And then continues up. So again, don't hate this thing. Watch Bitcoin, but this would be kind of, my little shorter term level right here, where I think it will come back and retrace, kind of 76 to 78. Maybe it wicks into the trend line, right? So that would kind of line up well with something like this, right? And then continuation from here. So this is something that I would want to watch on this coin. Again, this is in an uptrend on the high time frame. Looks pretty fucking good to me. And if Bitcoin is going to remain bullish or even go sideways, right? If Bitcoin starts to range, some of these altcoins can really run. So that's that. Let's see here. Metals was good. We read that already. What do you think about NASDAQ water futures? Do you think water is a good investment? Could you look at a water ETF like PHO? This looks exactly like the NASDAQ, doesn't it? I mean, am I missing something here? I don't know what that chart is, if it's a water ETF, but it looks almost identical to the NASDAQ in terms of just price action. Little different, right? But, this part looks 1-to-1. So yeah, I don't really know. I do think, there could be an argument to be made that water is a good investment. I don't know, is the world ending? But this chart just looks like a 1-to-1 of the NASDAQ to me. NQH2O. Let's see. What am I missing here? Yeah, I don't really know. It looks like the stock market. This is the exact same chart as the actual NASDAQ to me. So, are you bullish on the NASDAQ? Then you're probably bullish on this. I don't really know what it is. I've never traded it before. It's interesting. Something that I might look into a little bit more, but I don't really know enough about it to give you a kind of formulated opinion on it, to be honest with you. Did you ever drive fast race cars? Yes, I've driven fast cars before. Yeah, I would like to have a dark theme because the white theme hurts my fucking eyes, but I love the aesthetic. It's super clean, but it just bugs my eyes, especially at night, and it gets dark at like 4 o'clock now because it's winter. Sushi looks nice. No idea what it does though. So I don't know what sushi does either, other than eating it and it's tasty. Right? Yeah. So again, this is similar to those coins that I just covered, right? In that it's sold off relentlessly, and now it's looking like it's potentially forming a bottom, right? So again, a lot less bag holders than some fucking 2017 altcoin. So to me, this is kind of a very interesting area for sushi right now. It's coming into this key resistance here on the daily. So it's either going to come back and retest this here, like that, or if it flips this, I think you just long it. I think that looks pretty good. So yeah, coming into key resistance here, but I don't hate sushi. I actually love sushi to eat specifically. Let's see. Boom. This is essentially the exact same chart. The BTC chart is almost identical, right? Coming right into daily resistance. If this fails, we'll come back into here, right? So it's either going to do one of these, or it's going to do this. But yeah, sushi looks pretty good. I think you should turn down your monitor brightness by a lot. Check online for some guidance. Okay, I'll look into that. Thank you. I have these glasses that help, but I feel like it just looks bad with the face cam. But these are like those blue light blockers. Hey, I'm an okay scalper, but when I take a swing, I always fuck up by closing it. Become scalper mindset, look for the next shot. Should I just walk away or keep 2 accounts? So, Vinod, a great question. So, what you should do when you're having issues closing trades early, what I do as a rule of thumb, is this is not so much now, but when I was learning, when I enter the trade, I don't just put in my entry. I put in I enter, but then I put my stop in as a hard stop, and I put my TP in. And then I let it ride until one of those 2 other orders get triggered. And that was one of the ways that I was able to force myself to not cut the trade early, because I would do that all the time. I would be underwater a little bit, I would cut it. It'd be close to my take profit, I would cut it, right? And I kept getting out of trades early, fighting myself out of positions. So that could be something that you could do, something that you could try, just to kind of get used to letting it ride, right? Because the idea is, if you don't get invalidated, if it doesn't hit your stop, why are you exiting, right? And if you're like, oh, well, I think I'm wrong, well, then why did you enter your stop the other place in the first place, and why did you enter the trade in the first place if you're exiting before you think you're actually wrong? So that could be something that might help you out. Can you take a look at Litecoin? Sure, my guy. Satoshi Light. Fuck off. Okay, so Litecoin, very similar to Ethereum, right? Almost identical. Exact same setup to Ethereum. Remember Ethereum, I had my 620 level. It was weekly supply. Litecoin is identical. Okay, but instead of 620 and 570, it's 99 and 89. Okay, exact same thing, right? Weekly supply. Big difference on Litecoin here as well is we never closed through here, right? So we never closed through that high, and that's an SFP. So I'm not saying I'm bearish on Litecoin. Again, similar to Ethereum, I think this is a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. I think this is the play, right? But it's the exact same setup as Ethereum to me, right? Maybe even slightly more bearish, but if it gets above here, I think we go higher. And if it stays below $89, I actually think it trades down. So I would not be surprised, right, if Litecoin came back into this, right, before continuing higher. But this would take Bitcoin shitting the bed. If Bitcoin rockets through all-time high, this is going to do this, right? And if Bitcoin shits the bed, this is going to do this, right? But this is essentially the exact same play as Ethereum, albeit looking a little more bearish. It failed to get into this zone and close in there, whereas Ethereum is closed within this range, right? If I just pull up Ethereum real quick, it burns. right? Notice exact same setup, right? I'm taking weekly supply, but Ethereum's closing within there. Litecoin is just wicked, and then Litecoin also SFP'd this key weekly swing high. So that could be a clue that this is going to trade down. But again, it's the exact same setup as Ethereum for me. It's forming a triangle, right? So it's just a matter of where this thing decides to break, right? If it breaks to the upside, get long. I think on Litecoin, look at how well those daily candles respect that weekly level. No body closes through it, right? So I think if we start trading above here, get bullish. Otherwise, kind of wait and see. But I would just be kind of watching this as, a triangle, because that's exactly what it is. Right? Exact same as Ethereum. It's in a wedge. Wait for it to break out. But for now, no clear read for me yet. I want to see it for bullishness. I need to see it above here, right? Break up above here, break above here, then absolutely long the fuck out of Litecoin. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do one of these, right, first and then come back up. So need to see what happens. But yeah, not as bullish as Ethereum, I would say, but it is consolidating and it's going to prepare for a big move soon. But I imagine whatever Bitcoin does will kind of predicate what happens with something like this. Just tuned in. Already say something about dollar and DOT. Yes, I did already, so just go check out earlier in the video. OMG USD. Yeah, let's go. We're on 69 likes, which is pretty nice, but 100 would be dope. OMG USDT. Let's look. All right. Sorry about that. OMG USD. What does this look like to you? Right? Looks kind of similar to Litecoin to me. Right? Here's your key weekly supply right here. So kind of right around $7 looks like is the key here. Just change that. Coordinates 7.77. Can you imagine? So $7 seems to be like a key level for OMG USDT here. I don't love how this pumped super hard and retraced this hard, but at the end of the day, as long as we're holding above here, right? So this is kind of your accumulation range down here, right? This is your bottom, right? Breakout, retest, right? So it needs to kind of hold this area for me. If it loses this area, I think it gets ugly again. But I think, for now, I think this is your trading range. So what do I mean by that? I mean, it can go like this. It doesn't have to just break out. Like above $7 is your breakout, right? Above $7, we probably go pretty quickly towards 10 to, $12. But for now, this is the trading range I would watch on this, and I would wait for a breakout on either side. If this is bullish, right, very much don't want this low to go. Would much rather see some sort of uptrend form here, right, and then some sort of breakout would be the ideal situation. This thing is trending upwards. you know, so it's in an uptrend, you know, kind of a nasty spike there, but you want to see, you know, this trend hold, and then eventually, you know, this would be where your breakout forms. So the dream scenario, right, is some sort of moves up here, right, and then eventually a break to the upside. That would be kind of, you know, what I want to see for something like this. Unibright. Is this a good retrace zone? UBT. Unibright. Okay, your first problem is it's only on BitMEX. Oh, God. BitterX. I don't know. This looks like AIDS to me. If like I could imagine what AIDS feels like in a chart, it would be this. You know, I guess yes, right? Like I hate charts that have all these wicks, man. It fucking triggers me. Oh, is this Unibright as well, or is this something different? No, UBT. Sorry, that's Uniswap. That's what Unibright wishes it was. Yeah, see, like I hate all these wicks because it makes it like it just triggers me. But I don't hate this. I guess like if this is gonna go, this seems like a decent area for the bottom to form. You know, kind of similar to, you know, the other coins here. A lot harder to read with all these annoying ass wicks, but this looks like a legit, you know, move up. This would be now kind of where you want your price action to hold, right? You want this to be a swing low, and then your first trouble area is going to be right here, right? So if it can move up from here and reclaim this level here at about 52 cents, I think it's got a shot at taking out this high. So yes. The answer would be yes. I don't love it, but it is what it is. Near USDT. Doesn't look too bad. Right? So came back, right? Pumped up, came back, retest there. There's your kind of key support here, right? So if this is going to be your uptrend here, right? There's your key support. So this is what I would be watching on this thing. If it can hold this low it's just made at 87 cents, I think it actually looks okay. Yeah, I don't hate this thing. Really want it to hold this consolidation, right? Hold this consolidation. Right, give us one more move up, maybe one more trend line bounce, but don't hate this one. Looks okay. Kind of want to see it hold where it is right now. I'd ideally like this to be the low. You've got a little bear block here. If it can flip this, right, probably a good chance that it goes up towards the highs. Don't hate this one. Okay, have you done sushi? Yes, I did sushi. Ultra OUOS is a newer project I'm interested in. If you can check it out, thanks for the stream. You're welcome. Ultra, Tom Bitfinex. So my concern with this one is this big pump, right? And then this looks like a lower high, right? So something like this, you know, this would be, you know, a fucking short for me 10 out of 10 times. You know, blow off the top, big dump, retrace. If I pull a fib from here to here, that is the OTE right there, as you can see, right into it. So this one I don't like as much, right? This one I think is pretty easy to trade though, because basically what you have here is a trading range between these two areas right here, right? And if this is going to continue its uptrend, it will not do so without reclaiming this area here, right? This. And then if it loses this, it goes much lower and it comes way back down to here. So to me, this would have been a short here in the last month or the last week, right? And now it's got, you know, very clear levels that you need to pay attention to. It needs to reclaim this 18 to 19 cent area, okay? Has to get above here, for it to be bullish. You know, same kind of idea here. You know, is it holding its uptrend line? You know, kind of losing it a little bit here, depending on where you pull it from. Right, so it's kind of breaking down below there. I mean, you could redraw here if you wanted. You know, maybe say this is the trend. But I wouldn't really want to see this thing go lower than where it is now. I definitely want to see it hold support here, right? Hold this, needs to attack this level and needs to reclaim this level to be bullish. But that is kind of a go-to short setup. That's kind of the link short setup, right? If I look at link, it's the exact same setup. See that? Exact same setup right there. Blow off the top, dump, retrace. If I pull my fib, boom. Exact same setup, right? So link, as much as there's a bunch of link bulls out there, link ain't doing shit until it regains that level, right? So again, right, if it comes up here and then falls below here, it's fucked. But if it can regain this, then it will continue to make a new all-time high. I see this chart as the exact same. All right, I'm not gonna go on much longer here, guys. This is, again, 2-hour stream, just an absolute mammoth. So no more chart requests. Whatever ones are in the chat are the ones I'm gonna look at here. So we had Cardano, someone asked. I'm way too fucking lazy to go back through all this after this long. Okay, so I'm going to look at Cardano, I'm going to look at FTT, RFI, and YeFi, and that's it, guys. Okay, so we'll start with Cardano. So again, Cardano's, you know, a lot of these coins look very similar right now, right? They've all pumped into kind of a weekly level, right? So big bottom formation, right? Fuck off. Big bottoming formation, and then a breakout of the bottom formation, right? Higher low, higher high, right? So we're just looking for trend continuation on all of these altcoins, really. But it's a matter of whether or not they can actually break out of the downtrend finally or what. So if we look here, we've got this low here, right? That was kind of the cap of your consolidation here. Broke out, retested, moved up. What I don't like is how we have not made a higher high above here, right? So this thing needs to get above this gray block. So what I could see happening on this, right? What I could see happening is something like this before up, right? Or, you know, like this. What you don't want to see is us lose this trend, right? Because if it loses this trend, that whole up, the only reason I'm showing the trend line here is it's an easy visual way to see that we're trying to start an uptrend here, right? So what you don't want to see is us lose this fucking trend here. Needs to make a higher high, needs to start trading above here. Okay, needs to start trading above 17 cents. But good chance this trades back into here, I think, next. And then we'll see what happens, right? And if it trades back into here and bounces, right, it could line up with, you know, maybe an order block touch. Right, but needs to start trading above, you know, this 17 to 19 cent region. As soon as it does that, I think this thing has a good shot at, you know, going way up to the, you know, kind of, you know, double your money area from here to here. But needs to get through this area, because if it loses this trend, it's gonna get ugly. Okay. FTT. Is this the FTX token? What is this? I don't know what this is. I mean, look, listen. Talk about an uptrend, right? Is FTX its own token? FTX token. Okay, so what I like about this coin is that it is the token of the exchange FTX, and I think that is the best exchange. I think Sam is super smart, so good carriage to, or good horse to tie your carriage to. So if he's going to do well, just like BNB and Binance, right? You're kind of betting on the exchange, I guess. So I like that. In terms of the chart, I mean, this is just in a monster uptrend. I wouldn't really fight this. It's just making higher lows and higher highs, right? That's about all you can ask for in terms of a token, or in terms of a chart. Where is it going right now in the mean term? Made a higher high here. Right, so again, this is kind of the trend you're watching here for a breakout, but I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty good, right? Like I think if it holds this trend and this low, notice how the trend lines up with the SR, lines up with the order block, right? It's not an accident. So ideally, maybe one more move down like this, but then ideally continuation. I think this looks pretty good overall. And I don't see why this won't continue to go up. I think this looks pretty good. BTC chart doesn't look nearly as good. Don't love how it's trading below this low. Is there anything here? Not really. That. Yes, I mean, here's the thing, right? BTC is a beast, right? So trading against BTC, this thing doesn't look as good. But, this is potential bullishness. It's kind of in no man's land. Like, I don't have any support over here for why this thing would be bouncing. I mean, maybe you could argue this little OB here, but I don't know. I don't love it on as much on the Bitcoin chart. What I do see, right, again, is potential bullish trend starting to form, right? And then you have kind of your key SR area right here. Look at the daily, right? So coming into resistance here, forming a higher low. This could be potentially kind of a trend change, right? And what you want to see then is something like this, right? And then if it can get above here, I think it has a lot of upside. But do not want to lose this trend, right? If it loses these lows here, I don't know where this thing stops. Could be way the fuck down here. So BTC pair doesn't look as good, but I think if we can hold this, potential market structure, make a new high here, this could be a buy, and then above here, I think it's got some legs. All right, and two more. RFI, Wrapped F. So compared to all of the alts I've talked about today, what do you think you should do with this one, right? This is parabolic. This is two fat green weekly candles in a row. I have no idea what this does, right? But this is in a massive uptrend, right? This is the first red we've seen in a while. So I have no idea where this thing comes back to, right? This is way too early to tell. So there's your entire move, right? Like obviously that's a super bullish move and this could just continue, but I have no idea, right? I would rather buy coins that look, kind of depressed than, something that's already ripped like this. That being said, do we have anything in here? So I see a level here that might be interesting, right? If it comes back here, 50% retrace and then continues, that could be interesting, right? But again, this thing is run pretty hard already. So you want to be careful with it in terms of, where you buy it. To me, there's not really any sort of area where I would buy this until here, right? So I'd either wait for it to break out, right? So you either wait and it continues to rip, or you try and get in here because this is support. But no idea what this does. If you bought it down here, how does this even make sense? Isn't this negative? Fuck, like, Jesus Christ. So this thing is up 4,700%. That is nuts. Yeah, so I don't know. This would be kind of my one concern, is that this does like a link or whatever and comes up here, right? So if it comes up here and rejects, that's super bearish, right? But if it comes down here and then, you know, that would be potentially a bullish setup, right? Trend line touch and then back up. But these are going to be your two levels of interest for that. That's what I would watch. YeFi USDT. Yeah, so I mean, again, like Link, right? Here's your worry, is you blow off the top right into this here. So this is going to be the key for YeFi right here. Is it going to break above this weekly zone? If it does, you know, the party continues. If it fails to, then, you know, the party's over. So that is the area of interest for me on this coin, is that gray box that comes from the weekly. If it can reclaim that, I think it will go here. Very similar idea. A lot of these altcoins, as you can see by now, kind of similar, right? So doesn't really want to lose this trend. If it loses this trend, it comes back to here. Okay, so ideally this breaks up if you're bullish on this. If this breaks down, I think it goes to here. All right. Okay, guys, my head is spinning. I need to eat some food. 2 hours, 10 minutes. Real quick, we have a winner to announce. So we did a little competition with my friend GSQ. So he wanted to give away a graphics card. I said I would help him out. So we have a winner for the graphics card. Whoever was someone who retweeted and liked the tweet. It looks like the winner is at John_HXM. At John_HXM. So I'm going to DM you on Twitter. You won the graphics card, bro. So congratulations. Yeah, so sponsored by Prime, saying FTX is the best. Prime is great as well. Prime and FTX are the only exchanges I use. I'm almost completely moved off of Binance even at this point. And I think Binance is coming through with KYC anyways. Prime is also great, but FTX is, I think, very innovative, and I just like Sam a lot. But Prime is great. Prime overlords, I love you. And do me a favor and sign up to Prime, please. So we appreciate the fuck out of you doing these streams, like having a free mentor and friend at the same time. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, man. I really enjoyed doing these, guys. Do me a huge favor, sign up to Prime, deposit some Bitcoin there. You get a free 50%, right? So if you only have one Bitcoin to trade, you put it on there. You actually have 1.5 to trade now. So if you want to help me out, sign up, show them some love. I really appreciate you guys tuning into these. Please like the videos, like the tweets, retweet them, whatever. It really helps me out a lot. Makes me really happy. I've got a couple of things planned going into the holidays for y'all in terms of educational videos. I've got 2 that I'm working on. And I'm also going to be doing some giveaway stuff. I've got some swag I'm going to be giving away, like some crypto clothing that I'm excited to talk about. So keep an eye on Twitter for that. If you don't follow me on Twitter for some reason, give me a follow there. Yeah, man, appreciate you guys who are hanging around for these long-ass streams. I have a lot of fun doing them. Can't wait to do the next one. I'll talk to you guys later this week. All right, guys.